I've just found out that the Great Wall Hotel in Beijing has closed. US President Reagan and his wife stayed there when they visited China in 1984. I remember how life kept improving, with adults earning more money. The Great Wall Hotel was my first introduction to what a five-star hotel truly was. I recall visiting my relatives who had returned from abroad in the late 1980s, stepping onto its shiny marble floors for the first time, and seeing the multi-story atrium with fountains, spiral staircases, and glass elevators. When we left, rows of Toyota comfort taxis lined up outside, and uniformed staff held the doors open for us. Now, the Heaven on Earth nightclub is a shadow of its former self. The once bustling place is now quiet, only filled with memories. This year marks the 40th anniversary of the Great Wall Hotel. Another renowned five-star hotel in Beijing has ceased operations. Recent reports indicate that the Great Wall Hotel Beijing, located in Chaoyang District, has been closed for 6 months. The Great Wall Hotel has witnessed numerous significant historical moments in China's development, and became a legend in the hotel industry by hosting many foreign dignitaries over the years. Its quiet exit seems to mark the end of an era. Opinions vary on the reasons for its closure. Zhao Huanyuan, a senior economist in the tourism and hotel industry, suggests that a decline in customer traffic might be one reason. The fixed costs of running a large hotel are substantial. If the traffic does not balance the expenses, keeping it open will result in losses. He believes the hotel could be converted into apartments for visitors to Beijing or people working in the city. The Great Wall Hotel Beijing isn't the only one closing down. The luxurious The Opposite House Hotel in Beijing, located in the same area in Sanlitun, announced its closure on June 30th, 2024. The trendy Opposite House Hotel in Sanlitun is about to close. While some blame the drop in high-end hotel demand and decreased consumer spending, that's not the whole story. Built for the 2008 Olympics and designed by Japanese architect Kengo Kuma, this hotel has rarely turned a profit during its 16 years, mostly operating at a loss. So it's quite an achievement that it managed to stay open until now. As a place with artistic temperament, the Opposite House Hotel can be seen as a landmark of Taikoo Li. I always checked in on social media every time I pass by. Its signature feature is the huge green glass, blending traditional Chinese and modern minimalist concepts. The entrance boasts an old Beijing-style wooden door and a qipao made of blue and white porcelain shards, adding an artistic touch. The lobby feels more like an art gallery, with rotating exhibitions every 2 to 3 months, featuring various artworks. Metal curtains hanging from the ceiling create a soft, floating sensation. The restaurant and bar are also impressive, like the fireworks of the 2008 Olympics, as faded away with the end of the Reform era. As a matter of fact, the wave of restaurant closures in Beijing has become a hot topic on social media. Many Beijing residents express confusion and concern over the widespread restaurant closures. Long-established restaurants have shut their doors, and newly opened ones disappear quickly. Recently, Beijing's well-known Michelin restaurant, Opera Bomana and Thiago, both faced the possibility of closure and absconding, which shocked and saddened many. Opera Bomana was considered one of Beijing's top Italian restaurants, while Thiago was a famous Old Western restaurant. The road to recovery after the pandemic is much harder than expected. As the bubble bursts and the middle class returns to poverty, many high-end Western restaurants face the harsh reality of the higher you are, the harder you fall, ultimately getting caught in a wave of closures. It's not just the high-end dining industry that's struggling. The mid to low-end restaurant market in Beijing also looks bleak. Mr. Hu, who invested 4.5 million yuan in 2022 to open a Yunnan cuisine restaurant in Beijing, still hasn't broken even. He candidly shared the changes his restaurant faced in the first half of 2024. After the Chinese New Year, the first issue was the decrease in customers. Many young people who returned to their hometowns last year never came back. Secondly, the average spending per table dropped by 30 to 40%. Previously, a small private room for 5 to 6 people would typically cost around 700 to 800 yuan, with an average of 140 to 150 yuan per person. Now, it's common to see tables of 3 or 400 yuan, with the average spending per person dropping to 70 to 80 yuan. As of June 30th, 2024, the number of restaurant closures and license revocations in China reached 1.06 million. in the first 6 months of the year. At the end of the first quarter, the data showed 460,000 restaurant closures and revocations, meaning that nearly 600,000 restaurants closed in just the second quarter alone. Compared to last year, 2023 saw 1.36 million restaurant closures and revocations throughout the year. In just the first half of 2024, the number is already close to last year's total. With more closures, one might wonder if there are also more new openings. The answer is no. According to Tianyan Cha data, as of June 30th, the number of newly registered restaurants in China reached 1.35 million. Compared to the first half of last year, when 1.68 million new restaurant registrations were recorded, there are 330,000 fewer new openings this year. Dog Brother, who is involved in the recovery of second-hand restaurant equipment, also revealed that the number of new openings still outnumbers closures this year. However, compared to previous years, the number of new openings has significantly decreased. Dog Brother also stated, compared to the same period last year, restaurant revenues have generally declined by at least 15%, but more often by 30 to 50%. Some have said this might be the most challenging first half of the year for the restaurant industry ever. What does this mean? Let's take a look at the restaurant data for the first 5 months. According to data released by the Beijing Municipal Bureau of Statistics, from January to May 2024, Beijing's restaurant industry achieved revenues of 53 billion yuan, down 2.7% year-on-year. The Shanghai Municipal Bureau of Statistics reported that from January to May, the total retail sales of social consumer goods, including accommodation and restaurant services, reached 61 billion yuan, a decline of 3%. As early as April, both Beijing and Shanghai saw double declines in accommodation and restaurant revenues, and this trend has persisted through the first half of the year. This suggests a critical issue. The restaurant industry is deeply entrenched in a growth stagnation crisis, with business conditions worsening day by day. Customer traffic has sharply decreased, and revenues have halved, has become a common phenomenon in the restaurant industry. A seasoned restaurateur in Shanghai posted that this year's restaurant business is too competitive and challenging. In Shanghai's Pudong New area, 7 restaurants on a commercial street closed within 10 days. And these restaurants had only been open for a short time before closing. Zhejiayou Chuan Skewers, which opened last summer, has now closed. The Hong Kong-style tea restaurant, which opened during last year's National Day holiday, only operated for half a year before disappearing. If you were 13 million in debt, what would you do? Today is July 1st, 2024. I'm Duan Haijun. I've been in the restaurant and milk tea business for 15 years, but now I've closed down and am heavily in debt. But my daughter and family woke me up. I urge my peers to wake up too. I swear I'll never do catering again. Look at the outcome of those in catering. Either families are broken or they are left alone. They look successful in public, but suffer behind the scenes. This is the reality. In 2022, I took on a project that scraped together 5 million yuan to go big. But the repeated lockdowns drained me. Running a company, paying salaries, the costs overwhelmed me. When the cash flow broke, I was completely lost. To pay the 200,000 yuan monthly interest and salaries, I had to borrow over 2 million in high-interest loans and max out dozens of credit cards. Now, I'm 13 million yuan in debt, and at 40, I've become a joke. Auntie Milk Tea, once a popular chain tea brand in Shanghai, offered fashionable and healthy tea drinks with whole grains and rich flavored milk tea, which were once highly sought after by young people. However, amid the fierce competition in the tea beverage market, even popular brands have faced closure waves. As of May this year, the total number of stores in the milk tea drinks sector reached 420,000. In the past year, 170,000 new stores opened. But contrasting with the 170,000 new openings, there was a net increase of only 30,000 stores. The comparison between new openings and net growth means that nearly 140,000 stores closed in the past year in the tea beverage industry. In Shanghai, due to weak consumer spending, the situation for high-end dining is even more severe. Data shows that from May 10, 2023 to April 19, 2024, the proportion of restaurants with a per capita spending of over 500 yuan shrank significantly from 1.4% to 0.8%, with a total reduction of more than 900 stores. Behind these harsh numbers lies a critical reality. The restaurant industry has been facing severe challenges this year. More troubling is that the wave of closures may just be beginning. Industry insiders have noted that most restaurants have underperformed in the first half of the year. If the summer peak season does not meet expectations, many more restaurants could close. On social media, many restaurant owners have expressed their pessimism, saying, "This year, we suddenly don't know what to do. It feels like there are problems with the products, the service, and the malls. I've been running a store for many years, but this year is really hard. How can I hold on? Can someone tell me? Opening a store now is worse than working for someone else. Unfortunately, I'm already stuck and can't get out." They say if you persevere, you'll outlast your competitors. But what if you end up closing your store first? A recent survey by Canyin88 found that in popular commercial areas and streets in cities like Guangzhou, Shanghai, Beijing, and Chengdu, the sight of closed restaurant clusters and high vacancy rates is shocking. The main reasons for these severe setbacks in the restaurant industry include skyrocketing rents, rising costs of food supplies, and increasing employee wages. These combined factors have made it difficult for many restaurants to survive, ultimately forcing them to close. However, the most critical factor is the significant change in consumer attitude. Previously, consumers were confident about the future and willing to spend money trying various foods without hesitation. After the pandemic, economic pressures have significantly increased, with mortgage and car loan debts making life more burdensome. Many people have been laid off, had their salaries reduced, and the number of migrant workers has decreased. The middle class has diminished. In dining, people are more cautious and avoid impulsive spending. Whether dining alone or in groups, consumers now prefer smaller portions, like small dishes and small bowls of rice, to reduce waste.
It's really hard to do business these days. I'm in Jing'an Joy City in Shanghai. I made dinner plans with friends today. Look at this first floor atrium that used to be impossible to get a spot in. Now large sections are closed. Look behind me. 2 shops have closed. Let me show you how desolate business is now. It's the weekend and we just came down from eating upstairs, but there's no one here. Look, there's hardly anyone. Forget about having customers in your store, ladies. This is downtown Shanghai and there's no one. Business is really bad this year, I'm telling you. Only businesses with some online traffic can survive. You can't rely on just a few walk-ins. Not a single business in this first floor atrium is doing well. This is the current situation. This is downtown Shanghai and it's this empty.
In Shanghai's bustling commercial district, a female blogger captured the desolate scene of an almost empty mall. The shopping center had very few people. Most stores were closed, and escalators were often out of service. The entire mall felt eerily empty. Opening a store now is like throwing money away. This is at number 1 Huaihai Road, the very center of Shanghai. Feel the current business environment. From the first to the third floor, every level has at least 2 shops closed. Just last year, this place was fully rented out. In less than a year, look at it now. In the first half of this year, 1.05 million restaurants closed, nearly matching last year's total. The entry barrier for catering is low, but doing it well is very difficult. Would you still choose to go into catering? In Shanghai, numerous restaurants are shutting down one after another, with the dining industry in distress. The once exclusive high-end dining sector has now dwindled. Walking along Huaihai Middle Road, one of Shanghai's main commercial streets, from Maoming Road to Yandang Road, the level of desolation makes it feel like walking through Detroit. Passing by Xiantiandi, I stopped by Nanjili Century upstairs for a meal. Most shopping centers are now turning into food courts. Whenever I do on-site visits, the property market team always tells me not to take pictures of empty shops or quiet scenes, and not to post negative comments, or they might lose their jobs. Actually, there's no need to worry. The poor business in shopping centers has many reasons. It used to be said that catering was the best part of shopping centers, often described as overcrowded, but now many have closed. Famous affordable food cities like Meiluo City and Qibao Vanke can't sustain themselves, and even the Sun Palace City Market didn't last 3 years. With the shift to downgraded or rational consumption, Only places where the average spending is below 40 yuan can attract young people. Shanghai Xintiandi, located in the city's busiest commercial and shopping area, is known as the center of the city center. Famous for its unique European-style architecture and diverse dining, shopping, and entertainment venues, it once symbolized Shanghai's prosperity. It's not just China's first-tier cities. Physical business operators nationwide are feeling the market's chill. Recently, in a mall in Guangxi, a female shop assistant shouted,
"Boss, it's not that we're not working hard. Look outside our store, there's no one. Look inside the store, it's just us."
This scene has struck a chord with many. People across China said this woman has voiced the reality of many malls and physical stores. All the storefronts have gone to waste. What era is it now? People still dream of building a city with steel and concrete in Changsha to recreate the Tang Dynasty's never-sleeping city. The result, after 5 years, is that it has become a Tang Dynasty ghost town, with all storefronts empty and untouched since they were built. All the storefronts are wasted. You know, back in 2018, everyone in Hunan was scrambling to buy these corner storefronts at intersections, only to end up with these shops now overgrown with weeds at the entrance. We are witnessing a Great Depression. This Great Depression is a nightmare for hundreds of families. What caused this? This kind of tragic history isn't even seen in the movies. The impact of pandemic lockdowns on the physical retail industry is undeniable. Even before the pandemic, China's overall economic situation was sluggish. In 2018, the government of Changsha built an antique-style architectural complex in Wangcheng district, intended to be the prime location with the highest foot traffic. However, none of the street-facing shops are operating normally. Some shops have removed their signs and posted transfer advertisements, while many still remain in the bare shell state from when the developer handed over the property. A physical store owner in mainland China stated that the current economic downturn is a vicious cycle that causes deep anxiety, suffering, and fear.